It's the holidays, and I am excited because, by the way, it's me, Judi.Diamond, along with professional astrologer Thomas Miller.
Hey, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And when I come up with this question for you, it might throw you. I do not know, but I cannot be the first person to ask this. By the way, this is a podcast, the Sky Vibe podcast, astrology podcast. It's basically astrology for people like me that think like a fifth grader in astrology. Not you, Thomas.
I'm not going to go there. We could talk about the rest of the time being lower than the fifth grade, but we won't do that, will we?
No, no.
No.
We do not we do
You're
not
doing just
astros
fine for a fifth grader. Let me put it that
well,
way. You are doing just
I'm not
fine.
sure how to take that, but I'll take
There's
it.
nothing wrong with the fifth grade.
Well, thank you. No, there isn't, but it's more or less, I like to call it, we say everything from a GPS for your life to, I say it's, practical astrology, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
For
exactly.
people like me who don't understand astro speak.
Sure. And we don't want to do that anyway.
Yeah. So, Thomas, if anybody wants to catch up, again, you subscribe, the Sky Vibe Show. Now, I do want to say before I ask this ridiculous question, which I don't think is ridiculous, that if you want to know what we look like and you're listening to this and you want to see this amazing fairy world that I come out of, you have to look on YouTube or on any of our socials.
Well, check out, let's see, your YouTube channel is what?
Judi.Diamond.
And mine is Fun Astrology Podcast. And this will be
Mm-hmm.
on both on YouTube. And we'd love to have you come over there.
Absolutely. I'm also on
So,
Ginger Vibes, but it's the same. So either
okay.
one.
All right. Good. Yeah. So we're doing video this time in addition to the audio.
Yes. So now that we got that out of the way, you look quite handsome, by the way, Thomas.
Well, thank you. I realize this is no kidding. This is no kidding. This is a button down shirt. And I have
Really?
not buttoned a shirt across my body for over a year, probably
You
two.
you are the least buttoned up person I know, besides
I
me.
was like, oh, wow, I really haven't done this for a long time. Everything is casual. It's like,
Isn't that
okay,
crazy?
well,
Well, can I just say thank you for dressing up for me and the holidays?
you got it here. Right. Exactly. I broke the trend for
Thank
this.
you.
And you
Now
look
don't
great in red too, by the way, as well.
oh,
So
thank
very,
you.
very
And
festive and seasonal.
well, thank you. And again, once you see that if you're ever wondered if a redhead can wear red, yes, we can.
You wear it perfectly. And look
And
at the background I chose for us too.
you did. I
I
love it. It's
did.
very festive.
Yeah, got the red background going as well
It's
on the video.
perfect. It's
Hope you
absolutely
audio
perfect.
folks will come over and check it out. We're having fun with it.
We really are. And this is a new little system that we're using here. So if I'm walking all over Thomas as I'm talking, I apologize profusely.
Yeah, this is the maiden voyage for this thing for both of us. So voila,
Where's a
we'll be
bottle
doing
of
more of this for
champagne?
sure. Yeah, we're going to do more. All
Okay.
right, I know you have this itching question.
I'm dying to ask you this. Please, anybody who's listening who's professional astrologers, bear with me. But this is the season. This is Santa Claus. And I have to know, what is Santa Claus's astrological sign? What's his natal chart? What's he about?
Well, you threw this at me a couple of weeks ago, and I had to go digging because I knew this astrologer years ago who actually knew Santa Claus's exact birth time.
What?
And that person is no longer with us. May they rest in North Pole land.
Mhm.
But I am one of the few astrologers in the world that actually has Santa Claus's exact birth time. So when you asked
What?
this question, I had completely forgotten about that document, and I thought, oh, I have to dig that out. So
Wow.
I
Well, I
have
must
Santa's
say,
natal birth
I
report right here.
okay, I didn't mean to step on you, but I just got really, really excited because I'm sitting there going, okay, let's see. He's got an expanding belly. Jupiter's got to be somewhere in that chart, right?
We're going to talk about Jupiter, yes.
I'm so excited. It's like a Christmas present.
Well, let's start with, like everybody has to know. In fact, the last podcast we did, you talked about the big three that your friend in San Diego's son had to find out, or your friend in St. Louis's San Diego son. But yeah, this is the big news on the coast, and the Gen Zers can't make friends if they don't know their big three. Well, what is the big three? If you don't know what the big three is, it's the sun, moon, and rising sign. And you
Or
don't get
also,
all
it's
of
also
those
called
three if you don't have the exact birth time. So you have to know the time. And that's why this is so important that we know Santa's exact birth time, because we can get that ascendant.
now, just so people know, because if they're learning, there's people call it different things. Sometimes they call it rising, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's ascending and descending. So
Yeah.
just know that, right?
Well, the rising sign is kind of what it's indicating. It's the point in the chart where the sun rose on the day of your birth. And it's kind of how we shine out into the world. So it's a very important point. And you're
Okay.
going to be pretty impressed, I think, with Santa's rising sign. But let's
Can we
start with the
go
sun. What
back?
would you?
Can I just go back really quick and say
Yeah.
Thomas Miller is one of the few, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do a show with this professional astrologer who knows the date and time of Santa's birth. That's amazing.
And this will never be disclosed, because then I wouldn't have the trade secret, right? So
That's
at
right.
least we can, but people could dial it in from this, maybe. All right. What would you expect when you think of jolly old Saint Nick? You already kind of mentioned it. What would you think would be his sun sign, the sign that the sun was in when Santa was born?
Gosh, well, he's happy, he's shining, he's Leo. I don't know. Of course, I'm a Leo, so I'm going to say that.
Well, Leo's coming, but Santa is actually a Sagittarius rising.
Well, Sagittarius, they love to go and travel, and he does a lot of that.
All over the world, yes. Has a busy schedule in the fall, that's for sure. So he is a Sagittarius rising, but you think about this. I mean, his chart fits him so well. It really does. Because his moon is in the sign that you're familiar with of Capricorn.
Wow.
Now,
Wow. That's how
that's
he keeps organized.
well, it is. And Capricorn is, of course, ruled by the planet Saturn. And Capricorn is all about stability and longevity. Things related to Capricorn, they last for a long, long time. And we know that Santa has been around for about some 300 years. I mean, I know the exact date, but I'm not going to tell you. But he goes back to the 1700s.
That's a
So for him to
longevity
be
dude.
doing this for so long is really, truly remarkable. And you couldn't do that without a Capricorn rising. And, to think about that, not only does he do it every year, but also, like, how does he hit all those stores at the same time? I mean, it's like he's everywhere. It's because of that Capricorn nature that he just has gotten this figured out. It's been stamped in over hundreds of years, and he can pull it off consistently.
So
It's
he's
amazing.
basically got the Capricorn, this is what you're doing, saying to the Sagittarius, yes, I know you want to go out and party and adventure and go everywhere. Here's where you need to be at.
Well, he's like, you ain't getting any younger, so you better rest up for the whole year so you can pull these last couple of months off, right?
Yes, and
It's
Sag
like,
is like, all
just
right,
like
let's
us. I
party.
mean, look at us, right? Okay, now
Yes.
there's one other we talked about at the rising sign. What rising sign would you think he is?
Oh boy. I mean, gosh, I
Think
can't even
think
begin.
close
I
to
can see
home. You just mentioned it.
a Leo?
He is a Leo.
Yay.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Look at all this press he gets every year, and
Mhm.
he does it effortlessly. Just like you. I mean, you are so good in what you do, and you're so good on the radio, and you draw attention to yourself, and you stand out there boldly. Well, that's just like Santa.
And he wears
Same
red.
thing.
I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, Leos are always in the spotlight. Well, what is he in right now? It's all about Santa, right?
It is. Yes.
So, I mean, his chart and Leos are, this, natural performers.
Mhm.
So, he's that for sure. You know, the only thing I thought about with his Leo rising is that Santa should be at the front of the parade, not the back.
Hmm.
He really should.
But you
Leos
have
are
to
the
remember, Leos, they do like that, but they also like to make an entrance. So
Right.
he's the end because he's waiting everybody, and then here's the star.
Okay. Okay. Well, that works too. Well, we can't
Sometimes
change it.
I'm
He
late
is
to
a Leo
parties because
rising.
of that.
Yeah. Well,
I gotta make my everybody else can just go ahead of me, and then I'll just make my entrance.
okay. Here she comes. So, a couple of other things I thought we might just take a look at. Some of his planets and signs that are scattered around the chart. Now, you mentioned Jupiter with his expanding waistline, but the other thing that he has is just tremendous access to assets because he has such a huge factory up there in the North Pole that he can make all these toys and all these gifts and presents for the whole world. I mean, that's got to be Jupiter in the second house of money and possessions, right?
Is it?
Well, that's exactly where it is.
And
Absolutely.
that
There
means
you
he can
go.
pay his elves. They don't have to work for free.
No, oh no, he has plenty of resources with that Jupiter in there, and it's always expanding. Jupiter is all about things getting bigger. So, when we were kids, Christmas was like this, and now Christmas is like this. Well, that's Jupiter. There you go. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks, right? We say that all the time. So then the other one that I was kind of impressed that he has is Pluto, the planet of transformation, is in Santa's first house, his ascendant house.
Which means
Well, think about all the transformations of his image that he's gone through all these years. He's like all the rest of us. I mean, he started off small and he just grew into the role. He really did. He didn't start off big Mr. Claus with the whole operation that he has up there now with all the elves and all the factories and all the reindeer and the delivery service and everything. He didn't start that way back in the 1700s. It was just him and Ma Claus.
he's
So
grassroots kind of dude.
but he just developed, and that's with Pluto. Wherever Pluto is in your chart, that's an area of your life that you are going to transform over time. Well, he's
Wow.
been at it for 300 years, and look at what happens.
And he's just getting bigger and bigger. I mean, he's digital now. You could follow his sleigh online. Now, I got to ask you about the longevity of his marriage to Mrs. Claus. There's got to be
Well, that's
Venus or
coming up
something.
next. I
Oh,
knew you would be
really?
right there. So I took a look at the seventh house. And in the seventh house of relationships, you hit it, and that was the next thing on the list, is Venus in the sign of Taurus.
Oh, the
Is in the seventh
stability.
house of relationships. I mean,
I
why
love it.
not, right? It has to
I,
be because they've
it
been
makes
married
sense.
for 300 some years. I
Yes.
mean, they're like glue. That's a relationship that has stayed together, and Tauruses stay put.
Mm-hmm. They're
I
grounded.
Somebody in our business, Jim Nance, the great sportscaster over at CBS, is a Taurus. And he started when he was 26 and he wants to retire when he's about 75. It's like the guy is just a rock. That's a
Wow.
Taurus. So
Wow.
that's his relationship. And it's not only his relationship with his wife, but think about it, it's a relationship with his whole team. And really, even though this is more like the 11th house, he has a relationship like that with the whole world, doesn't he?
He does. We love Santa.
Yeah. And Santa loves us. And that's
And we
because of
know
that
he's
Venus,
stable.
the love planet is. And by the way, because when you have that Leo rising, the Taurus over there is basically the way that it works out is that Venus is in the late degrees of Taurus for it to be in the seventh house. So that's part of that longevity. You can use the degrees that a planet is in as a marker of early signatures versus later signatures, for example. So they got married a little later, but boy, has it stuck.
Wow. And
Big
again,
tip.
I know his elves are really his children, but what about that part of the chart? Do you see anything in there?
I didn't pull the fifth house, which is where children are, but
Mhm.
really, those are employees. That's more of the sixth house. Yeah, that's more
So
of
I
the
guess the
sixth
whole
house in the chart.
world's children are his kids if you think about
Oh
it.
yeah, and he has such an incredible relationship with the entire world, and that is represented in astrology by the 11th house. But the other point that I wanted to bring out that I thought is just really significant about Santa's chart is in his 10th house, which we call that the midheaven area. Most people look to that for their career, but really it's kind of how we stand on top of the world, because that midheaven point in astrology is the sun at its highest point in the sky on the day you were born. We have the ascendant where it comes up. We have the midheaven where it's up at the highest point. And we have the descendant you mentioned at the beginning. That's where the sun sets. And then we have what's called the Imum Coeli, or the nadir. That's the sun at the darkest point of the night, if you will, its lowest trajectory in the sky. Well, at the top of his chart, with him standing up to the world, we find the planet Neptune. And
Wow.
I just thought this was so cool, because that is how we appear to the world.
Mhm.
And if you think about Neptune, we're talking about the planet of illusions, the planet of dreams, the planet of visions. And we're also talking about the planet of lies and deceptions. So there's Neptune. And I thought, how appropriate, because 'twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, with visions, Neptune, of sugar plums dancing in their heads. You can just feel the Neptune in that, can't you?
Yes.
And the thing is, about that Neptune in the 10th house, Judy, the story is whatever we want to make of it. For some, it's an illusion. For some, it's a lie. For some, it's an image of the very highest timeline path we can take in our lives, of selfless service, of love for humanity, of giving without getting, and obviously sending cheer this time of year. Peace on earth, goodwill to all. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, Thomas. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.